Hello, and welcome to Confident HR Conversations, the podcast designed to help you navigate challenges of communicating in English as an HR professional with confidence and clarity. I'm Alena, and I'm glad you're here. In this episode, I'm the one being interviewed. I had the pleasure of joining Pauline Hruška at the Business English Online Summit Lead to Speak, where we explored the challenges HR professionals face when speaking in English and how to build confidence in high-stakes conversations. Pauline is a communication and confidence coach who helps professionals break free from overthinking and speak English with ease. If you're looking to feel more confident and natural when speaking or presenting in English, you can connect with her through her website, intuitive-english.com, or find her on LinkedIn. Whether you struggle with self-doubt, hesitations, or simply want to express yourself more freely, Pauline's approach can help you unlock your true communication potential. In this conversation, we dive into the fears many HR professionals have around speaking in English and the practical strategies to overcome them. Let's get to it.
So Alena, tell me a little bit more about yourself. You said you work with HR professionals to help them overcome their fear of speaking in English at work. And your motto and the name of your individual program is From Nervous to Confident, which is like fantastic. And recently you even opened up a confident HR speaker community, which I think is that's wonderful, where HR professionals can practice speaking professionally and confidently while sharing HR-related topics. So it's sort of like language and networking. I think that's absolutely amazing. So can you share a little bit more about your journey as a trainer of effective communication skills and in English?
I've been teaching English for over a decade, and I always enjoyed explaining grammar and talking about different topics and so on. But I usually got a little bit frustrated when the clients were not really making as much progress in speaking. So they would be okay with talking on holidays or with their friends. But when they had to speak in front of their colleagues or with their bosses at work, it was a completely different story. And they just didn't have the confidence. They didn't feel comfortable speaking in English. So I was thinking how I can support these professionals. And now my other passion is also virtual exchange facilitator. You can imagine a virtual room like this, but with people from the US and Arab countries talking about hot topics like women's rights or religion, politics. And me as a facilitator, I was there to support, or I am there to support the group in having a good, productive communication, dialogue, conversation. And as I'm also a non-native speaker, at first, it was a big challenge for me to manage everything, to express myself, to understand everyone. And I realized that the tools that I use as a facilitator and the tools that I also train other facilitators in are effective communication skills. They're based on active listening. And it's something that is extremely relevant and extremely useful for anyone who works with people. And HR people are, just those specialists in working with people. And so when I started to work with them, that's when I created my program to really help them use those tools so that they feel confident and comfortable when they deal with clients, with candidates, with staff, with managers, with their bosses. And there's that. That's my mission.
Wow, that's fantastic. Wow, that must be so. I just think it's so exciting that people from all over the world can get together, and that you even went through the learning journey yourself as a non-native speaker. That's fantastic. You mentioned the fear of speaking for these business professionals once they get into the business environment. Not so much traveling. So it can be paralyzing for many professionals. I can understand that. Could you maybe walk us through your approach to helping clients, either as a facilitator or as a coach, to overcome this challenge?
Thank you for that question, Pauline, because it's something that I hear over and over again. maybe you who are listening to us right now, you're professionals, right? You're experts at your job. And sometimes they feel that it's just about having a little bit better English, a little bit higher level. Maybe if I learn 20, 50, 100 more words, I will finally feel confident. From experience, this is just not the case. What is important to understand is that when it's important situation for you, when it's high stakes, when there's boss watching you, when there are your colleagues, you don't want to lose your face in front of them, the stress will be there regardless of your level of English. I see with different clients of mine, regardless of their level. And the body reacts to the stress as if it was, as if you were in a jungle and there was an animal attacking you, right? So there's a bodily reaction. When we are in a situation which is important for us, somebody asks us a question, what happens, right? Our body kind of gets stuck. Our brain freezes and is not even able to use those words, those phrases that you already know. And so even though that you practiced before, it can be very challenging to use it in action. Some clients told me that at this moment they feel horrible and they even tell themselves, right, this is horrible, I am horrible, etc. Something that is not supporting you at all. So before even using the tools and strategies that I teach and I train, we need to first calm our brain down. We need to make sure that the brain starts working again properly. And this sounds very simple, what I'm about to say, but what really helps, and it helps me with my, for example, sometimes I have anxiety in certain situations. So what can help is taking a couple of deep breaths. The research, the neuroscience tells us the brain is a body. If we take breath, if we remember that in the moment when we start feeling nervous, we take a breath, we release ourselves from that getting stuck position. One little trick, what can help even more, if when you breathe out a little bit longer than you breathe in. So that's very easy thing to do, but it's very, very impactful. Another thing that we can try is grounding ourselves. So remember, we're in the head, which is our brain is confused. So there's like this rah, rah, rah. And we need to move the attention to our body. So you can feel your feet on the ground. Maybe you can squeeze something, a paper or a pen if you have something in your hand. You can feel the chair under you. So the idea is we're trying to ease our attention away from the brain so that it can relax, start working properly, start listening. And when it listens, it can also kind of catch something that the brain can use in those communication tools that we will talk about later. How does that sound?
That sounds interesting. So really what you're doing is redirecting the nervousness to something physical so that you're taking the place of that nervousness and sort of shifting it almost to an object and sending different neural signals to your brain.
Exactly. Because if you're stuck and if you're telling yourself this is horrible, there's no way you can actually pay attention to the other person and therefore listen properly and therefore reply professionally.
Fantastic. Wow. Yeah, I think that's useful even for English speakers, for native English speakers. So you mentioned some of the communications tools or skills. Can you share some of them with us?
Today, I would like to do some demonstrations with you, Pauline, as well. We will show two tools, my favorite tools. So we'll start with the first one, which is clarifying questions. Something extremely simple, yet sometimes there are some misconceptions or maybe even stigma about asking questions. People feel when I ask questions in a meeting or to my boss, I will look incompetent or I'm supposed to be the expert. I'm not supposed to be asking the questions. But actually, there was a study, there was a research in the US on leadership. And they found out that leaders who ask more questions than present their own opinions are better leaders. So when you want to work with people, it makes more sense to ask questions than to immediately come up with your own advice, with your own opinion. So asking questions comes first, absolutely. The thing is that also when we hear something and we want to reply immediately without understanding first, that can lead to a lot of misunderstandings. And that's why we call it also effective communication. You don't want to waste time on miscommunication or misunderstandings. Ready for the demonstration, Pauline?
All right, let's do it.
Okay. So now it's unscripted. Pauline, you will ask me a question. I have no idea what it will be about. And I will react with a clarifying question.
Okay. So, Alena, when I'm in a meeting situation and I don't understand, and let's say I'm in a hierarchy, where because some cultures are different. The U.S. isn't like this, but more perhaps Asian countries, even European countries, have a strict hierarchy. What do I do then when I need to ask a clarifying question of my boss?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. Now, when we say hierarchy, what exactly do you mean? And we can stop here. We can stop here, Pauline. Thank you so much for. It's actually a great question, and it would be a great another video on hierarchy and on communication in different cultures. But just for the sake of demonstration, thank you for so much. And maybe what you notice, what I did here is that I kind of listened into a word that maybe I would not understand. I don't know, 10 years ago, or maybe I would not hear it properly because of different accents, or because I don't know, there was a glitch, right? Many meetings are online, that can happen. And what I did is that I repeated the word, and I included in that clarifying questions. And that's something I definitely encourage. Sometimes people are afraid to repeat the word they don't understand, but it's so much more efficient than if I asked you, oh, I didn't understand. Can you repeat that, please? Yeah. And imagine you would have to read the whole thing. It was another short question.
Mm-hmm.
Having just this, can you repeat it, please, sentence on your side, sometimes that can be helpful, of course. But if it's the only thing that you say, it can get a little bit repetitive and not very efficient.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's that. So, and the phrases can be different, and you can phrase it a little bit more assertively, let's say, so that it matches the culture. Clarifying questions is not just about, or it doesn't have to be about vocabulary. It's not about translation. We're not asking, what does it mean in whatever other language? But the word, for example, hierarchy, can mean different things in different cultures, even different companies. So what I'm asking about is your context. What does it mean to you? When you say hierarchy, what does it mean in your company? What does it mean for you? So it's not about being incompetent when asking questions. It's about, I need more context so I can answer you professionally, so that I can answer with all my expertise. And that's, for me, means I'm being professional, I'm being efficient.
Mm-hmm. I love that, because even if it is a vocabulary issue, or you became nervous during the question because you didn't understand a word, you can still use something from that question, rephrase, and give yourself time to then listen again.
Exactly, exactly. So you're buying yourself a little bit of time to formulate a proper answer.
Fantastic. All right.
Okay, let's go to the next tool then, which takes it a little bit forward, one step forward, and that's paraphrasing. Again, my very, very favorite tool. What it means is that we hear something. You can imagine a boss sharing with you information about the new project, and then he asks you about your opinion. And you understood something. You're not sure if you understood everything. Maybe you're not sure if you understood properly or correctly. Again, we are professionals. We want to have all the answers ready. And the first instinct is to just answer, right? Okay, so this is what I'm thinking. That this is my opinion. But it may be that we misheard something. Maybe we misunderstood. Maybe we don't have enough information. And so our answer might not be exactly what the boss is asking about. And if we use these tools, they can help us gather more information so that we can answer properly. What I mean by that is paraphrasing means we repeat what we heard in our own words. We don't have to repeat everything. It's not about trying to gather everything, but at least something we understood, and then check if that's exactly, if that's what the other person asked about or shared about. So again, let's do a demonstration. Pauline, if you're ready, we will do a little role play this time. I will be your colleague. You're a manager, or we're managers in a company. And I'm here to support you in a one-on-one meeting because you've reached out because of some challenges. So, and then I will use the tool to understand a little bit more what you're going through.
Okay.
So, Pauline, thank you for meeting with me. So I'm curious, what has been some challenges that you've been going through recently?
Well, I've had some challenges with one of my employees. She's actually in marketing, in the marketing department, and it seems she hasn't been pulling her weight. Her manager and her colleagues are actually complaining about her, and I'm sort of not sure what truth there is because to the matter, because both of them, I've talked to this woman and I've also talked to her colleagues, and they seem to be saying two different things.
Okay, okay. Thank you for sharing that, Pauline. So, if I understood you correctly, there's some kind of a conflict between two of your employees, and one gave the other one feedback that she has not been working as much as was expected from her. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much. Right, finish the scenario. Excellent. Good job, Pauline. What I did here was that I didn't repeat everything, right? There were many more details, but I was trying to listen to some key messages or something that I could understand. And I started with, if I understand you correctly, right? So I'm opening myself to, like, I'm saying, so I need to clarify this. I want to make sure I understand. And I ended it with a question. Is that right? Is that correct? This way, we invite the other person to correct us, to add more details, or to say, yes, yes, that's correct. So either way, we will find ourselves with more information, with more details, and then we can come up with a better advice, right? We can share more. We can share something that is really relevant to the other person, which is very powerful because it also shows how important the other person for us is, right? That we really pay attention, that we really want to help in the best way possible.
Wow, fantastic. Yeah, I like that too. I'm going to start using that.
Yeah, I definitely use them both in English and in Czech. It's tremendous.
Yes, and that's also an interesting thing to know that you speak multiple languages, so you really do understand the difficulties in different languages that people share, even in different cultures, from your clients. Do you have any examples of how these two tools have helped some non-native speakers to help them feel more confident, to help them communicate better?
Well, this is exactly what I do for my clients or with my clients because they have to do the work, of course. But one example, so last spring, a recruiter came to me. He works in an international company, in a corporation. And so he has to communicate with candidates, with colleagues, and he has a Scottish boss, very difficult accent there. And he was quite nervous about his latest performance review because he got some feedback on his English. So his confidence level was very, very down. And he had this kind of a strategy when someone asked him a question and he didn't really understand, he kind of avoided answering it.
Ah.
So he just, kind of skipped to a different topic or did not really answer that. So we really had to go and role play those situations that were most difficult for him and train him in those communication skills, tools, and in managing the stress. Because that was very strong. Even in our session, he had a strong reaction. And after a few months of working with me, he had presentation for his colleague and for his boss. And presentation is fine. I mean, you can prepare for that, right? But then what comes after is the Q&A, the question and answer section, which you cannot prepare for. And he was very afraid of that. But it was amazing. It went really well. And his colleague, he really complimented him, say that he made a tremendous progress in those few months. And his boss then also talked to him that he has nothing to be worried about his next review. So that was it. It really helped him to feel more confident and more comfortable. He really enjoyed the presentation. That was great.
Fantastic. So he used these tools that you mentioned and managed to then present and answer questions confidently.
Exactly, exactly. Because that's the thing with presentations, right? Something you can prepare for, but then there's always those unexpected questions, unexpected situations. And But the beauty of these tools is that they're quite simple. It's not a complicated language that we used, right? It's something that you can use universally. You just listen in and then use what you heard.
That's fantastic. And I imagine it helps also with building relationships in the office and in the corporate world. Not just presenting, but also with like I said, the relationships.
Absolutely. Right. As I mentioned, listening comes before speaking. And listening to other person and giving them space to really explain what they mean is extremely powerful in relationships. And that's also why my work is so relevant for HR people, because they have to kind of build the bridges between the staff and the management. They have to make sure that everyone feels listened to. They have to bring everyone on the same boat. So if we use these tools, we send the message that we listen. It's important. You are important to me. Your message, your challenge, your struggle is important to me, and I want to help you the best of my expertise. So yeah, that's how it also helps creating better relationships at workplace, but anywhere really.
And you mentioned when you were talking about your example, you also mentioned that you practiced with this individual. You practiced certain scenarios. So can you tell me a little bit more about that? Some practical ways that professionals can incorporate practice into their lives, especially since they don't always have time. They're always usually they're short of time. They don't know where to do it or when to do it.
That is very, very true. All of my clients always have this struggle that they are very, very busy. So there are different things, but one thing that we need to realize that, again, it's not about a number of new vocabulary that we learn. We are training ourselves to feel more confident and comfortable when speaking. So we have to speak, and that we just can't go without it. So if you download the ebook that I provide here as well, one thing that I recommend is not just to read it for yourself, but to read it out loud. Maybe test it with ChatGPT. That's something that I recommend to everyone. You can instruct the ChatGPT to ask you tough questions about your work, and then you have to react with those phrases, with those clarifying questions. And ChatGPT can also give you feedback on that. Another thing that you can do is now, there's always an interaction. So if you don't want to practice with a computer, maybe find a friend or a colleague. I have a client who agreed with her colleague to have Fridays in English. So even though they're Czechs, both of them, they decided to speak in English one day per week. One simple thing that you can do, and there's no excuse, right? You're at work, you would speak anyway. Why not speaking in English? A little thing, if you don't have anyone in your immediate surrounding to practice with, what I like to also do with some of my clients is sending WhatsApp messages, voice messages. So not just text, but voice messages. The idea, again, someone will listen to you. And I can tell you, when I first started just sending voice messages, it was a challenge. Even like, you see the screen, you know it's going to be recorded. Someone will listen to it. But again, you're training your brain to get over this stressful reaction. Again, small things, something that you can do every day. Just share your daily agenda with someone. And of course, if you have a tutor, if you have a teacher, role playing is key. That's something that I really like to do with my clients. We role play the situations that they feel most stressed in. And that's also why I created the community, as you mentioned, right? The members discuss HR topics and also use those communication tools there. It's not just me listening in, because after a time, also the teacher becomes a friend, and it's not as challenging. But if there are other experts, right? If there are other people working in the same area, same expertise, it's again a little bit more challenging. And challenge is good. We need to train our brain to overcome the challenge.
Mm-hmm. I like your point about the WhatsApp messages too, because while it is stressful and it's maybe not nice. It's good to train your body and to train that stressful situation. It's still a safe space with you, right? As opposed to trying it with a colleague or trying it in a more where it I guess is a little bit more challenging. So I like that. And I like the community. I mentioned that before. Tell me a little bit, how does your community work?
So it's really nice. I really enjoy it. It's still small. You just started. couple months ago. And the idea is that every week there's a weekly challenge. So they can either post, but also they can post a voice message as a reaction to a question that I pose that week. So that's one thing. And they can interact as well, react to one another. It's a little bit HR related, but kind of a lighter mode. And then twice a month, we have a session altogether discussing a topic that they will vote for. So they choose a topic that's relevant to them, to their job. And we share, or they share their best practices. And they also learn how it is in different companies, what kind of approach they have to, I don't know, feedback or onboarding. It's HR related, so everything is relevant to there. And there's pretty much that's pretty much it. I also have some materials they can study on their own. So if they're more self-driven, if they're more disciplined, they can study on their own as well.
Wow, that's fantastic. That sounds really good. Okay, let me ask you sort of a final question because everything has been. I'm just amazed. But if you wanted, our viewers to take 3 takeaways, 3 main points to take away with them today, what would they be?
So message number 1, you're not alone. The stress, the reaction of your body is completely normal. It's natural. And it will be there regardless of your level of English. So what you want to learn is how to train your brain to overcome this stressful situation. And we can remember breathing, super simple. Maybe make a post-it, like a note on your computer if you have an important online meeting to say breathe. So breathing and grounding, kind of shifting the attention. Second point would be listening comes before speaking. You don't have to react immediately. It's more important to check you understand. So asking a clarifying question if there's something that you just didn't really get, or using paraphrasing if you understood and you want to just make sure it was correct, or you want to get more information by yourself, more time to answer. And finally, if you want to feel more confident when speaking, you need to train speaking. Listening to podcasts or reading articles is great. It can expand your vocabulary as well. But if you want to speak, you have to speak and get the feedback, right? If it's a friend, a colleague, ChatGPT, teacher, community, whoever, to get feedback. Don't be afraid to share yourself with others because they usually, you will find out that they have the same struggles as you have, and they can support you.
Which can then impact, actually, as you said, also on the relationship with that person because you find out, hey, we're not so different after all. We all have fears and struggles.
Thank you for listening to Confident HR Conversations. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't hesitate to reach out to me with any questions, feedback, or suggestions. If you are an HR professional who wants a safe space to practice speaking in English, join our Confident HR Speaker community. We meet twice a month to discuss real HR topics, expand our vocabulary, and gain the confidence to express ourselves. Plus, you'll be supported and inspired by a group of other HR professionals who share your struggles and goals. Check the link in the description to sign up. Bye-bye.